morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
A Sioux Falls man is behind bars in connection with a Friday morning shooting in the western part of the city. Sioux Falls police say 39-year-old Martin Lopez was arrested in the area of Juniper and Pine Meadows at around 12:30 Tuesday afternoon. The Minnehaha County Warrant Task Force assisted in the arrest.
Lopez was arrested for aggravated assault in connection to the shooting near 14th Street and Western Avenue Friday morning. Officers arriving on scene found a man who had been shot in the stomach laying outside of a home. Around $140,000 in total damage was caused when a semi collided with a train Tuesday morning northwest of Sioux Center, Iowa. The Sioux County Sheriff's Office says they were called to the crash just after 8:30 a.m.
A semi pulling a trailer full of hay struck a train when it was in the railroad crossing. Hay was spilled onto the road. Some even ended up on a locomotive. The driver of the semi, 59-year-old Harvard Sandbolt, was taken to the Sioux Center Hospital with minor injuries. He was cited for failing to stop at a railroad crossing. A Pierre woman charged with stealing money from an auto dealer has reached a plea deal with prosecutors in Hughes County. 30-year-old Courtney Hall has pleaded guilty to embezzlement. She faces up to 5 years in prison and/or a $10,000 fine.
The Hughes County State's Attorney says Hall used charge cards from Wagner Auto to buy personal things from Sam's Club and Amazon. She is said to be sentenced in February.
Now let's send it over to meteorologist Scott Munn for a check of this morning's weather, starting with fog and going from there. Scott.
Yeah, and that's a good place to start, too. Visibility down to less than a mile, and that covers much of eastern and southeastern KELOLAND. More or less where we have the snowpack is a good outlier as to where we do have the thick fog. And you can see as we do go through the morning, our visibility will improve. That fog will go away as winds pick up to help mix up the atmosphere. Now, the fog should be done later this afternoon, and then we'll have to watch for the possibility of snow. Snow, the combination of wind, well, that will help reduce our visibilities by the time we go into this evening. And you do see a couple of areas north of Sioux Falls, maybe around 8 or 9 o'clock, visibility down to a mile or less. So that's something that we will have to watch as we do go through the evening hours. So we could go with reduced visibility this morning because of the fog, and then snow later this evening. And then we have this severe thunderstorm chances here. Slight risk. That continues to nudge to the northwest, now up toward near Canton. Worthington also in that slight, as we could easily see 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts or more, accompanied by these thunderstorms. Winter weather advisories also in effect. Central, northern, and northeastern South Dakota blowing snow later this evening. That wintry mix along with that flash freeze. So our snowfall amounts, we could get a couple inches here and there. In fact, the model suggesting 2 to 4, Aberdeen, Chamberlain, and Winter. Hard to measure, though, because of our strong winds. More details on your forecast with Brian coming up.
Thank you, Scott. There are many winter activities that allow you to get outside and closer to nature.
At the outdoor campus in Sioux Falls, visitors can get out and try winter activities, including snowshoeing, ice fishing, and cross-country skiing. It's a way to get out and see wildlife that you may not see during the summer months.
Got lots of white-tailed deer out here. We also have a beaver that's at the pond right now, so if you're lucky you might see that. Obviously all of our squirrels. We have turkey, foxes, just the whole gambit of basically anything that's in southeastern South Dakota.
You can find more information about the classes and times on the Outdoor Campus's Facebook page.
Governor Kristi Noem has defended a meeting involving her daughter at the governor's mansion, saying it was focused on improving the state's appraiser program.
However, the former director of the program says she was not told about any needed changes. Tuesday, Sherry Bren also told lawmakers that she felt nervous and intimidated during the meeting. It followed a letter that was sent to Noem's daughter, Cassidy Peters, letting her know her application was headed for denial. The governor has said her daughter didn't receive any special treatment.
Secretary of Labor Marsha Holtman says a plan for Peters was already settled and in place prior to the meeting. However, Bren says the terms and conditions of a second plan for Peters were discussed at the meeting and were mailed out at a later date. Noem's communications director says Bren's claim about the agreement was false. As for why she left her position.
And were you asked to retire?
Mr. Chair, no, I was forced to retire.
Bren received a $200,000 payment from the state in exchange for dropping an employment rights claim filed in December 2020.
Later this morning, the city of Sioux Falls, Sanford Health, and Avera will provide an update on the COVID-19 pandemic.
The topics will range from the impact on health systems, the Omicron variant, and vaccinations and boosters. You can watch the live stream of the event on KELOLAND.com starting at 11 o'clock this morning. Let's look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your interesting weather forecast with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, so here we go. Just to recap what Scott mentioned here, we do have a severe weather risk map today. And the timeline on this starts eastern Nebraska, probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, running south of Yankton. We think by 5 o'clock that severe weather zone will jump and it will clip Sioux Falls or come very close to Sioux Falls late afternoon. Of course, now we're getting to the point where we're getting dark and we're concerned about the evolution of this whole system, primarily outside of our coverage area, but still some of our counties in northwest Iowa are really in the thick of this here with that enhanced risk coming up all the way into Sioux County. And this is the new update here as of 7 this morning, and that does even almost clip into Lyon County now. So the bottom line is a lot of very active weather. The main concern through Iowa is 80 to 100 mile an hour wind. I just said 80 to 100 mile an hour wind today and nocturnal tornadoes within some of these storms. So this is a really volatile situation. Obviously, we'll keep tabs on all of that. The other story is winter weather advisories as we work the cold air into this system. There could be some blowing snow problems within some of this winter weather advisory headline. Continue to watch for updates on that. I am in particular watching Aberdeen. Some of our northeast counties could get a few inches of snow, and any amount of wind will blow that and create some hazardous travel at times. The wind, as we discuss that subject, so the timeline on this, we think the winds will start cranking up in Rapid City. We're forecasting gusts of 60 to 70. You know, we get that from time to time out there. That's not at all unusual, but it is noteworthy. The one thing, though, that really gets to be very out of place here is this wind forecast when we look at the maps here going into eastern Nebraska, western Iowa. So we've got to figure out today how much of that's going to intersect into Sioux Falls. We think Sioux Falls will probably end up gusting around 60 or 65 by 8 or 9 o'clock this evening. We think Ottawa, Iowa, if you're traveling Interstate 29 south of Sioux City, you're literally looking at 70 to 90 mile an hour wind gusts possible. And that threat would cross I-35 from Ames and Des Moines to probably Algona and Mason City probably by 8, 9 o'clock this evening. There's a lot of wind there. We're getting clipped by it, but we still have wind in South Dakota. And then the whole thing works its way east into Minnesota here through the overnight hours. So there's a lot to deal with today in terms of storm potential and weather. Here's our Futurecast update. Again, you notice as Sioux Falls climbs, we're going to take a run at 55 for a high today. That will be interesting to watch. In fact, even the brand new Futurecast update is trying to bolt us to 60. I think that's overdone. I sure hope it is, because otherwise we're going to have more severe weather on our hands. But certainly the Futurecast update brings that line of supercells, and basically these are mini structures. They're kind of tiny, and they're going to be moving awfully fast once they fire up in northeast Nebraska and clip areas south and east of Sioux Falls. You're going to want to make sure you're paying attention to that as they'll move through very, very quickly. And then notice the oddity of the weather by 7 tonight. See, these hourly numbers are dropping through the 40s and then the 20s by 9. And if Sioux Falls gets clipped by a little snow, it will be hard to see because that's when the wind will be the worst. All right, lots to say. We're going to end with this. Our forecast today, 50s in the southeast, 40s in the west. A lot to say here with our Storm Center update. Check that out. We've got details online at KELOLAND.com. And, of course, we'll have updates on air as need be today if we get into severe weather. Stay tuned as we'll keep you posted in weather here in the Storm Center.